with Badisa, but this is really to get our work and our impact and our stories, off of the paper and off of the inbox, and here and delivered to you. So, we're starting off with me in the mud. This was one of my first days back in Nepal, and we have a beautiful farm. And a lot of what we do is farming and really hands-on education, connecting our children with their culture, their heritage, their food system. And this was one of my first days back in Nepal. I like to get my hands dirty right away. Just another personal note, our family moved back with a new baby. His name's Everest. And our daughter, Ruby, my biological daughter, started at Coppola Valley School as a nursery student. And this was her first day of school, and her first day in a Coppola Valley uniform, which was a really special mama moment for me. I felt really torn. I wanted to be there for her first day of school, and I wanted to go see the campus and see all the trees that were growing. And also just be a mom and connect with the kids who I've been away from for so long. But I did manage to get over there and snap this picture, and it was really meaningful for me. It's something that I dreamed about, and that was coming true. And she's doing really well, and she loves this place and says she never wants to leave and is absolutely thriving. And thank you for caring about her so much and her adjustment here. It's been wonderful. A look back at BlinkNow through the years, we just wanted to share with you all our growth and how our programs have changed and evolved and grown, where we began as a small seed and how we've expanded. So we opened with 5 children in 2008. I think I was 19 years old, going on 20. And we have expanded up to about 50 children. We're currently in our home at 38 children, with 25 of our children in transition, or they've transitioned out of the home into college, or they're getting their first jobs and employment opportunities. So lots of new kids coming in. Actually, in the last 6 months, I think we've gotten about 6 new children, and we've got about 10 caseloads in our pipeline, which means that we've gotten referrals from local police or government officials. We're going through our own investigation and paperwork process. So constantly new cases coming in. At the same time, we're transitioning our oldest kids out and into the world. We prepare them for life outside of our home. And then we kind of monitor them as they make that first step. It's a big transition for every single young person. And then continue to follow up as they go to college or university or get their first job or go through their VOTEC program. And that's been very, very successful for us. All of our children from our home are in higher education and or gainfully employed, which is really exciting. We opened our school in 2010 with 230 students, and now we're at about over 400 students and 165 graduates. We run a health and wellness program. It's absolutely critical to what we do. A lot of you know about it, but we have nothing unless we have the basic foundations of health. And we often talk about the hierarchy of needs. And in order to have the best full school community program and the highest quality, it really starts with the basics: clean water, crisis prevention, strengthening the family as a whole, mental health, physical health, everything from annual checkups to vaccines to, just what it takes to raise a child and make sure that they're healthy and thriving, especially in this region where there is a lot of health risks. We also run a women's center. As you all know, it's one of our favorite programs. We started in 2013 with 65 women. And now I believe we're at about 300 women. The BlinkNow Futures program started in 2014. And it works with our pre-graduates and sees our children all the way through, again, that transition period, post-graduation and into employment. This is something that we found in orphan care in general in this field. A lot of folks really struggled with. And we even struggled to find a model and develop a program that we could really be that turnkey solution, that full service of seeing a child not only to age 18, but all the way through, flying from the nest and standing on their own 2 feet and into independence. So Futures is, it starts in about 8th grade. There's a life skills sort of checklist of everything we want a graduate to have, from how to shake a hand, to how to build a resume, to how to deal with stress, or go through conflict resolution, have a budget, finance 101, how to find your career path, to how to learn how to ride a bike or swim or cook your own food in a kitchen. And then our shining star is our green campus. It's beautiful, it's stunning. Many of you were involved in making that happen. It opened in 2019. And we call ourselves the greenest school in Nepal. And I think it's the greenest school in the world. Completely self-generating and really beautiful. Our newest program that we're really excited about is called Family Development, and it addresses children in the community, in their families. It's actively seeking to empower not only the child after the crisis happens, but really get to the preventative side of things and how we can help children in their community, in the family structures that they have. It's been an incredibly successful program. We've piloted it, and the results have been incredible in terms of just lifting up the family as a whole in the community. I'll talk more about that today. Just another growth number that's kind of crazy and impressive. We started with 3 staff, 3 team members, and now we're at about 130 local Nepalis. BlinkNow over the years, finances, look at that growth. That's pretty incredible how our expenses, how our programs have grown. So you can see with that impact growth where our fundraising has gone, where our expenses have gone, where our programmatic costs are, how we operate. Some of you were there in 2007 when I was babysitting. And the fact that you're still here in 2022, I'm so grateful. So what makes a stakeholder? You may ask why you got invited to this call. Why are you considered a stakeholder? Well, you're basically our bread and butter. You're the air that we breathe, the wind in our sails. You can see a breakdown of our revenue sources. Corporations make up for just 6.9% of our revenue. Foundations make up 8.1%, but 85% of our donors are individuals like you. So 85% of our funding comes from everyday people, from a roots donor to a kid in 5th grade to major and mid-level donors. A stakeholder, we qualify as a major or mid-level donor. That's why you're here. And you make up for about 60% of our funding. We consider a mid-level donor giving at about $5,000, and a major level donor gives at about $25,000 annually or more. So that's why we call you our stakeholders. You are the reason that our lights stay on and that we continue to grow and develop and sustain and improve on our work and create more impact. Just some pictures so that you can see the kids and where we are right now. This is the Kriti. She's one of our house parents, and she's pictured here with our new children who just came in the last few months. So we've got a lot of toddlers, and I love that Kamala's shirt there says, "You are limitless." I just noticed that for the first time. There's a lot of toddler action happening in the house, so sometimes I walk out and I see a kid with a permanent marker just drawing all over the walls. um, but it's still really fun and really exciting. Here's just some of the new faces in the home. We don't always identify these kids or their, very personally high profile stories publicly. There are some ethical and child protection, we never want to be exploitive, but we are getting the most serious cases in the entire Karnali region, kids that have nowhere else to go, nowhere else to turn, and nowhere to live, and are coming from really severe backgrounds. So what you do literally changes and saves lives and raises children. And we are legally responsible for these little ones. Our youngest came in at 3 months old, our little baby Surjana. And we are responsible for them up until they're 24 and 25 years old. So these are your children too, and they're ours. And we love them very much. This happy joy, we often talk about, this is where you'd want your children to be if anything happened to you. This is where I'd want my children to be and who I'd want them to be with. I just wanted to share a bit of a stakeholder story and an inspirational story from our home and just how our programs work and truly save lives. This is one of our newer children, and she came to us. We thought she was severely malnourished. She'd been in a really high abuse, very neglective situation. Obviously didn't have parents or caregivers. And luckily, there had been an annual checkup given by our health and wellness team. She was screened for medical issues, and it was picked up that she had a pretty serious heart abnormality. And immediately she got transferred to Nepalganj. That case got accelerated to Kathmandu. We actually ended up consulting with our doctor, one of our doctor advisors, Dr. Sanjib, who's on this call, and got us in touch with leading experts and doctors around the world. That led to her getting extensive treatment, us being able to get in there with a catheterization process, figure out what was going on in the heart. Doctors couldn't believe that she was still alive and thriving. And within 6 months, we had her transferred to India for a major life-saving surgery with the best doctors in the entire world. And her life has changed. She's back at home. She's back at school. Again, thank you to our advisors, our stakeholders, those of you who are on social media. At one point, we couldn't find nitric gas that we needed in Nepal. So then we started to look at India, and it was just became this huge family effort of us all working together. One child's life really matters. Here's just the first morning I came back, and we were all eating breakfast, and it was new faces and my older kids. And I think you can spot Everest and Ruby somewhere in there too. Coppola Valley School, our biggest program. Our cost to run our school is $696,000 and 33, 696.33. This is just some pictures of the kids. The new Nepali school year has just started. They just got their brand new uniforms. We're waiting for their final results from their national exams from the end of the year. And just some photos here. We admitted 30 new nursery students. Just so you know, we tend to screen hundreds of students to choose those really needful kids we want to bring into our school. The model is that they do live in community with any family that they have, but we very closely monitor them, whether that's through our family development program, through home visits, really that whole child, making sure that they come in and that we're taking care of the whole picture. So this is the little ones at their road safety. They get an orientation on everything from good touch, bad touch to all of the safety procedures. And just last week, they had like how to cross the road and wait at the bus station and avoid strangers and everything from fire safety to how to report something that's going on. We're just really happy to be back in school after such a long COVID hiatus. over COVID, we had to get creative. We really brought in a lot of laptops. We tried to get technology, thanks to partners and grant funding and all of you. Got tablets. We figured out how to work remotely, but we're just so happy to have them back and in the classroom itself. Here's our new computer lab. It's really exciting. One of the things we realized is that once our kids were going to college and getting these amazing opportunities, they were really behind on just email and technology and Google Classroom. So we've really tried to like build in technology into what we do, and beef up our tech skills just so that our kids can compete on that global scale. My older kids who are in college were like, just forget everything and teach the kids how to code. So we're really taking that feedback seriously and making sure that they have computer skills and typing skills, and we're getting data on how to improve their words per minute and just leveraging Classroom in the cloud. Some of the good things that came from COVID. Technology can be a really great equalizer when it comes to education. And then there's the social programs we do. This is last week. It was a menstrual hygiene program that our girls club ran. And you can see boys are in the audience. Menstrual taboos are huge in this region of Nepal. So we talk about it. We bring it to the open. We integrate with the Women's Center. We talk about homemade pads. We talk about the taboos and the cultural belief systems around menstruation and just bring it front and center. Okay, moving into sustainability. Again, you see all of these programs are very integrated. The kids are really outside all the time. They are learning about how to grow their food, how to develop their soil. They are bird watching. We've adopted place-based education. It's just the principle that a child really needs to love their culture, have pride in their country, understand a butterfly, dirt, soil, food, trees, and that's really what our campus has allowed us to do. So you'll often see the kids bird watching, listening for, looking for critters, hands in the soil doing worm compost or checking in on their beehives. And it's been really inspiring to watch this program grow and watch how the rest of the world is also really interested in this field. The kids are growing their own food. Food makes up for a huge portion of our budget. Coppola Valley is a place that anyone who is struggling with food security can come for a meal and be fed and be nourished. 50% of the children in our region are struggling with food insecurity and are malnourished. So food is everything. It relates to attendance rates. It relates to the ability to learn, the ability to feel safe. And the fact that our kids can grow food, pickle their food, distribute food. We eat it at the home, we're eating it at the school, we're growing more and more of our food, we're teaching sustainable farming practices, we're getting our families and the people in the community to also feel connected to the food system, to empower, to teach them how to fish per se, and get them growing and being more productive in their food creation. This is our mushroom project. So we grow our own mushrooms, a great source of protein, minerals, vitamins, just caloric intake. And our animals, of course, we have cows, we have goats, we have 68 chickens, 35 turkeys, the rabbits, and milk and yogurt. And again, just really important food. Big Sisters Home, something you may not see as much on social media because the cases that come into the Big Sisters Home require a lot of protection. We will never reveal the location of the Big Sisters Home. The cases that come into the home are generally related to human trafficking, sexual abuse, domestic servitude, mental health crises. Maybe they have a case that it's in court and we can't reveal the location. Very critical program. We were struggling with early marriage, just despite, and in fact, we were doing so much and we were still up against this early marriage crisis in our region. 1 in every 3 girls in Nepal is married before the age of 18. So just getting them through that really high risk, vulnerable period, the Big Sisters Home has been huge for that. You notice we don't call it a big safe home. We call it a Big Sisters Home. They're a community, they're girls, they're empowered. And then we get them through that crisis period and into education and make sure that they're reintegrated into the community. Of course, they have a puppy. Health and wellness, I touched on this before. Our kids got the COVID vaccines, which was great, helped them get back into school safe. COVID was just so hard. It was like, if we take the risk of leaving them out of school, they're so highly vulnerable and unsafe, and we need to continue their education. But again, our children are orphans. Maybe they live with a grandmother. We can't carry the burden of, losing the guardians and the families that they have in place. So that was a big challenge for us. Our COVID impact reached over 100,000 people, from navigating the migrant crisis to getting proper information out there, to creating quarantine centers, to our food banks that we ran just to get people to survive the COVID times. As you know, migrant work, daily wage labor stopped, tourism stopped, remittances halted. So there was a lot of crises. The UN says that Nepal was probably hit the hardest in the entire world when it comes to the impact of COVID. And this is just some of our guardian trainings, our outreach that we do with the community, talking about safety, stress coping. We actually even run a yoga and a dance, like meditation, every single day for the community as well. This is our family development program, just getting our social workers out into the community, helping empower the family as a whole, keep the family intact so that children can thrive. We can address mental health issues that way. Women's Center, incredibly successful program. Again, nearly 300 women, and that's just the 6 to 10 month courses. We also do shorter term literacy courses and short-term empowerment workshops or vocational skills. Women are also eligible for microloans to launch their own businesses. So these are some of our women who have successfully opened their businesses, whether that's a shop. A lot of our success has come from our beauty parlor training. And we also did courses in partnership on electrical, wiring, electrician, sewing, weaving, business 101, empowerment, finance, human rights, how to get a bank account, how to track your finances. And these are just some statistics on how we're doing with that program. The biggest success of the program that we've reported, nearly 100% of the women who come into our program have not gone to school. They're victims of early marriage. They're victims of domestic violence. The biggest feedback and our biggest success has been that our women say that they're more confident. They feel like they can self-advocate. They feel stronger. They feel like they have a community. So often it's the soft skills, but they can also join the cooperative and go out and get a microloan and get work. This is our sewing training. Lots of demand because you can see the clothes. These are our graduates who came back to speak to our new incoming trainees. You can see that the clothes that are made locally, they're all sewn from fabric. So there's a lot of demand for sewing and weaving of fabrics and whatnot. This is our literacy program, just getting to women, outreach and teaching them basic numeracy, basic literacy, very successful, very, very highly sought after. Women love it. Again, just bringing women together in a safe place for community. Futures. This is Hema. You all know my founding story. Hema's in college now. She's becoming a chef. She's studying hospitality. This is her. Some of our kids, they're studying so many diverse things. Everything like from accounting and engineering to nursing. This is Deepak. He went to United World College. It's one of the best global schools in the world. Soba, who just graduated from Lafayette. True University graduate, getting jobs in tech and computer science and farming and agriculture. And this is just a mommy bragging moment. We're just winning lots of competitions from chess to public speaking to poetry. They're just really, really shining. 10 of our Coppola graduates are working actively for BlinkNow and Coppola Valley, whether that's as a teaching assistant, this is our chief accountant, or in the Women's Center. And as part of their 12th grade project, they're required to give back 40 hours of internship or volunteer service. A lot of them are doing that with Coppola. So we see our graduates around all the time. Just some of our data that we're really working on, tracking our metrics and our impact. We are 100% of our students scored a B or higher on their national exams. So that's like an 80% or higher. The national rate is of those passes, those same marks is just 50% or 22% in the region. So you can see that we're really outperforming on national and regional exams. And 21% of our students scored in first division or distinction, 90% or above. Nationally, that's 43% of our students against 21 nationally and 2.5% regionally. This is a really impressive stat. I'm very proud to share. 94.59% of our students, upper secondary graduates, are enrolling into higher education programs, 94%. And again, that's like everything. That's that full process where we're not just seeing them through age 18 and sending them out to figure things out on their own. We really want to see them through. We are placing emphasis on gender. 55% of our graduates are female. We're always trying to give more opportunities to girls just because of what they're up against in this region and in this country. Okay, I'm coming to an end before we get to questions and conversation. Our biggest dreams right now, our biggest dreams in the world, and there's a lot, I just kind of narrowed it down for two for the purpose of this conversation. We really want to be able to fund and support as many of our children as possible, all of our children, into higher education, college, university, vocational training. We've got another 170 kids coming up into the pipeline about to graduate. We just want to really be able to build those partnerships with colleges, with universities, be able to send them, be able to make sure that they can fulfill their dreams, and allow them to dream big so that they can contribute to society. Become the nurses, the doctors, the engineers, the economists, the finance gurus, the bankers, the people that we need to rebuild and continue to sustain and just make Nepal that it can be. We also want to be able to sustain our work and continue to improve and just make our programs so bulletproof and strong so that we can open source them. A lot of the questions that we get are around, like, from fledgling organizations who want to do what we do in another region, another country. Maybe they're like, I'm mentoring a girl from Girl Up who's in Liberia right now, and I'm mentoring a girl in India. Want to help them kind of not make the same mistakes we did, learn from our success, be able to just take a piece of our program, whether it's futures or our health and wellness or women's empowerment curriculum, hand that to them, be able to guide them through that process. So we really see this as a successful model that we want to share. Our biggest challenges and our focus areas right now, just to share really openly, COVID was a major stress test for us. We were entirely Nepali run by Nepali leadership, very successful. Now we're kind of like trying to get to a return to normal. One thing that has come up for us is our gender equality amongst our team, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's been really hard for us to find women ages 30 and above who can join our team as teachers. So you'll see in our leadership on the ground at Coppola, we have a lot of men in leadership and in positions of power. So we've been trying to recruit and kind of bring up women within the organization so that we have women leaders, so that our kids can look up and see female leadership. Besides me, I'm a different, I'm American. We want them to see Nepali women in positions of power. So we're bringing on female board members, more female leadership when it comes to program directors or, finance leaders in the finance department and what we do. We are wanting to prepare our programs for sharing and export. That's a challenge because, there's just a lot of M&E and data tracking that we need to be able to take in our hands, share. Why is this working? We know this program's working really well. Let's figure out what the indicators are, what the impact is, what about that is working. So we're putting a lot of emphasis on our data tracking, on our monitoring and our evaluation, on our benchmarking. Besides national exams, how can we measure learning in the classroom? Reading assessments, math assessments, being able to share and build a consortium of other like-minded schools to talk about reading and math and language skills and futures. And of course, that brings us to funding. We need continued and sustained predictable sources of funding and partnerships. When it comes to funding, I'm just going to show you the last couple years. One thing that you'll notice is that a lot of our funding comes in September, October. We start our fundraising towards the year end. That's fundraising season. It's when people know what their capital gains are, what the economy looks like, or they're just feeling really charitable because it's the holidays, it's Thanksgiving, or the end of the year. But one thing that would really help is for us to be able to predict more about what our funding is. Or if you as a stakeholder know kind of financially where you stand and what your giving level is. So if you're at that $5,000 level and you think, you know what, I can give $5,000 for the next 3 years, pledges, multi-year pledges are really great for us. Another thing is, like, if you don't put yourself in the year end, like if it doesn't really matter for you because of how you do your business or how you run your finances, whether you give in December or November, we really do encourage you to, the earlier you can make a pledge or make a contribution, the better. Just because we do our budgeting, and then a lot of times we're like, oh, trying to make it through the year, wondering, are we on track? Are we falling behind? And without that predictable, sustained funding, a lot of times it's scary for us until we get to December 31st and we're like, we made it, or, oh, we're a little bit under. So that's one thing that really helps us, multi-year pledges, and just being able to have open conversations on where you stand with your giving. And just the growing and the expanding of the program expenses, just the fact that we have more and more kids going to college, transitioning out, and things that help us. A lot of times we rely on a one-off like press events, like this viral video, or we have to do, we hosted a gala that really, really helped us reach our goals, build our resources, build our reserves. Salon fundraisers, when you bring people into our network, when you host events, we can see the years that that has happened and the impact and the jumps that made, the comfort, it helped us breathe easier. So if you're someone and you think you can host an event, either virtual or in person, we would love that. We're so open to it. We're here to help. So yeah, just host. A lot of you share with your network, you send those emails out, you're sending our social media, our communications around. It has a huge impact. We can track so much of the revenue that we bring in to what you do to network for us and how you share posts, and it's incredible. So just continue to do that. The other thing I just want to say, that now that you know how important you are and how much your gift means, and just your feedback is so important. Critical questions, concerns, a red flag, something that you're not happy about, something that you're worried about. I met with a donor right before I left in New York City, and she was like, well, on social media, you guys look like you're amazing. You're fine. Your kids are thriving. Well, totally. But I can always meet with you and tell you kind of the other challenges that we have. We try to portray our students in a really positive light. We do protect them. But we just want to hear from you. And We're here to talk. You're our partners, you're our collaborators, you're our friends, you're our advocates, you're everything to us. So we want criticism. We want you to say like, hey, why is this happening this way? Maybe there's an explanation we can give you. We're just really open and we want to talk. We want to have those meetings with you. We're available. And thank you. That's kind of my presentation. I know I've probably forgot 100 things, but thank you. This is a drone image that Jeremy took, and it's of the new beautiful campus that's even greener now. So